Hey guys, Tanya Clarke-Marinelli here. Welcome to this week's free webinar training all about fear, kicking you in the ass, keeping you small, preventing you from experiencing what it is that you guys want to experience in this lifetime. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, I see that there are a couple of you guys here. So if you can just pop in your name in the chat box. Let me know that you can hear me, see me, so I don't do this whole presentation and nobody gets to hear or see anything. So pop your name in there and let me know. And let me know who's here and just that it's working. Now, today this webinar was inspired by a few of the people in my life, a few experiences that I'm having in my own life, and a few of my clients. But really all of my clients, because all of my clients who work with me experience fear. Fear is a big part of entrepreneurship. Fear is a big part of promoting your business. Hey Beth, how are you? Thanks for joining me. Okay, Beth said that there's a little bit of an echo. I don't have any speakers, so I'm just on my thanks. I'm just on my, can you still hear an echo? Let me know. But big fear is a big part of what a lot of my clients experience. And it's just a big topic right now. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. Now, if I'm going to hop right on over to the slideshow. I'm just going to check to see. Yeah, so we have a few viewers here. So if you're not at, still a big echo. Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering if any of the other viewers, if you're by a computer, if you're able to, pop in and let me know how the sound is for you. Beth, you might have to refresh your browser. Usually if there's any technical difficulties, if things are blurry, if it gets cut off, just refresh your browser and you'll be redirected right back. Let me know if that works for you. So I'm just gonna, maybe I don't know if that'll work. I just muted myself. Can you still hear me, Beth? Mark says sound is good on my end. Okay. So then I'll just unmute myself right there just in case. And I did check the speakers before I hopped on, and it's kind of at mid-volume where it always is. So hopefully it's something that it will correct itself. And Mark, how's it going? I'm glad you're here. I don't have a headset. No, I don't have a headset. I do not. I'm not sure what to tell you other than refreshing your browser. Yeah, I've never had this problem before, but next time I will keep a headset on hand just in case there is an echo. So if this doesn't work, Beth, maybe you can just send in your questions or comments, and you'll be emailed a replay as well if that'll work for you. Otherwise, I would invite you to just maybe log off and then log back in. Okay, so I'm just going to continue. I really hope that it works out for you, Beth. Now, today we're going to be talking about fear. Yeah, I'm going to bring in some quotes from this book, and I'll introduce this book a little bit more later. And also, you guys know every single morning good. I'm glad you're back in Winnipeg, Mark. I haven't seen you in so long. Every morning I listen to something educational, something inspirational, something that's going to motivate me to do whatever it is that I have to do that day. And today I was feeling a little under the weather, so I had to kick my own ass a little bit more, and which was great because I was like, are you kidding me? Everything that I listen to is directly related to my webinars on webinar day. So I'm really excited about that. Now, I'm just going to go and flip on over to my screen share, and I'm just going to get started. So remember, Every week I give away a book, and today I'm gonna have to give away this book, or if you already have this one, I'll give away another one of your choice because I have a lot in my toolbox. And so stay tuned. You got to listen to the webinar because I'm going to quiz you at the end, okay? So I'm just going to hop on over my screen share and get started. All right. So this is my program is Invest in Yourself, okay? This is your free webinar training, Get Your Money Mindset Makeover. So today we're going to talk about everything that you guys want is on the other side of fear. I'm experiencing this in my life, and a lot of my clients are experiencing this in their business and life as well right now. And I know that no matter what level you're at, there's always a new devil and there's always a new fear that you've got to push through in order to achieve optimum success. So today you guys are going to find out why fear stops you from getting to the place that you want to be. You're going to stomp on fear and get what you want, and you're going to shatter those beliefs that are allowing fear to run the show so you can take your life back, okay? So you can take control back of your life today. So I'm going to show you guys how to dream as if nobody's looking. That's cool. So like I said, my name is Tanya Clarke-Marinelli, creator of InvestinYourselfCourse.com and EmpoweringKidsProgram.com. Both programs have been featured on local TV news stations, newspaper articles, and this is the Empowering Kids program, okay? This is just one of the little images that I share on Facebook. Socializing happens organically, imagination, okay? And then this is the program that we're talking about today. Shift your money mindset to create the freedom that you guys deserve today. Online. I'm also the host of the Empowering You and Your Children. If you guys didn't listen to Monday morning's episode with Mr. Dan King here, spiritual conduit, author, speaker, and creator of Soulgasm, very unique brand, I gotta tell you, but I love it. You guys want to listen to it. It was an amazing show. He messaged me after and he's like, Tanya, that was probably one of the best shows that we've done yet, and here's why. On the show, we talked about something that I kind of experience a little fear around sharing. I haven't immunized my kids in a long time, and I don't really go that route, but it's not something that I share because I know that it's a really touchy subject. And I don't want to offend anybody, and I'm not out to say, hey, this way is better than that way. It's not about that. It's just our personal beliefs, and it's not something that I talk about. But on Monday's show, we talked about it, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, we got to do this again because it flowed. It was just a really flowing show, and it was just a lot of information that a lot of people don't want to hear or know about, but there are so many people who want to hear about it and who want to talk about it. So hop on over and check that episode out. I'm on iTunes as well, so you guys can download all the episodes on iTunes. I also have some signature talks that I do, overcoming negative self-talk, secrets every successful woman or entrepreneur needs to know. And guess what, guys? We're tapping into this talk a little bit today because we're kind of, when I got a message from one of my clients and they're like, go back to the roots, go back to the beginning of what you need to know in order to be brave enough to jump into entrepreneurship. So that's what we're doing. The most important ingredient for your child's success, emotional intelligence. Hop on over to EmpoweringKidsProgram.com. Download your free training today. Absolutely free, my gift to you. And I also do workshops. I've done workshops on reservations, in schools, you name it. It's part of the Empowering Kids program. And now here's why I need to, on a daily basis, stomp on fear, kick it to the curb, whatever you guys want to call it. It's because I gotta be around my family, my loved ones. I just have to. And in order to do that, I need to be a little aggressive about it, right? I need to be a little bit aggressive about my business. And I also want to honor my own passions as well as my business and as well as my loved ones. So some of my passions are traveling. Some of my passions playing some music and involving my kids in that. Some of my passions are just getting the hell out of my house, sitting at a beautiful coffee shop and looking at the beautiful people that are walking by while I'm getting my work done. And guess what, guys? I have the freedom to do that. Now, today we're going to find out why fear stops you from getting to the place that you want to be. First, I'm going to flip on over and see if any of you guys have any questions. Who is joining us? If you just got here, pop your name into the chat box. Let me know that you're here. And yeah, ask any questions. So today is a question asking, comment making type of webinar. Okay, I'm just going to stop this for a moment. So it is I want you guys to ask your questions, comment on your fears, because I am a certified life coach. I've been for the last quite a few years walking clients back into tapping into what it is that they subconsciously fear. There may be blocks there that you guys aren't even aware of. You don't know why, right? This is what this webinar is about. You just don't know what the hell is stopping you from making whatever it is that you want to see happen. So I invite you to be brave, step into the face of fear, pop in your comments, pop in your questions. It could be around life. It could be around business. It could be around your love life. It could be around anything. Fact is, all of these beautiful life areas play a huge part in your business if you're an entrepreneur. Even if you work in corporate, they all play a huge part in how you feel, the energy that you give off, and the success of your business. I watched an old video the last time I was in Laguna Beach. I annually attend a Soul Sister Mastermind in Laguna Beach with my business coach, and there was my aha moment. I should have reposted it for you guys. And my aha moment was, my takeaway in this mastermind was that your business is a direct reflection of your energy. So if your business isn't doing good, you need to take a look on the inside and see what the hell is going on. And that's always step number one in my practice. Step number one is taking a look at all the areas of your life, being completely, god-awfully, if it is, honest with all areas of your life, okay? And because, like I said, I was listening to something this morning, we are all creatures of progress. We have all been brought here to progress. If we're not progressing, guys, guess which way we're going, right? We are going the other way. So we got to be constantly growing. We evolve to continuously progress, to continuously grow. So if you're going to work, coming home, or running your business and not feeling really passionate about it, and just kind of stagnant and not happy, not even sad, just kind of like that, then and you don't feel like you're progressing, you're not doing anything new, you're not pushing yourselves outside of those imaginary boundaries, right? That you can only feel through emotion, whether or not you are going past those boundaries. Why? Because fear is usually the indicator that you're progressing, okay? So let's talk about that today. So I invite you guys, whoever is here, pop in, let me know what fears you guys are facing. And if not, then I'll just use some of the fears that I'm experiencing or my clients have experienced in the past, okay? Last week, my webinar was all about putting yourself out there. It was all about the fastest way to generate leads through video, okay, and social media. Now, the biggest fears I'll get to later on in the presentation, but those are some of the biggest fears that my clients face is, how do I get on video? How the hell do I, how do I do it? Why would I do it? But fact is that the fastest and quickest way to generate leads to your business is through video. And fear blocks many of my clients, even me in the past. It blocks a lot of people from promoting and marketing their business because they don't want to be seen, okay? And I'll tell you why in a minute. So I'm going to wait for you guys. I see that we have some viewers on, and I want to see your feedback. Okay, I'm going to get back over to the screen share. Let's do this. So first, before we begin, here's a little pep talk. You're going to be great, okay? But you're the one who's got to believe it first before anybody else will. You're the one who's got to see it before anybody else is going to see it, right? And here's the thing. Most of the fears that you guys experience aren't even true. I think it's like 80% of the worries that we experience, of the fears that we experience, are bullshit, okay? They're not even true. They're just things that we kind of fabricate in our minds, okay? So part of this training is going to be, you guys got to take control of your mind, okay? And yeah, because half the things, no, 3/4 of the things, if not more, of the things that you think about, the things that you're worried about, the things that you're fearful of, will never happen, have never happened, okay? And it's really important to be aware of that. Fear is the devil's greatest illusion, okay? I had a gentleman, I think I heard that for the first time like a year or two ago, or not a year or two ago, a couple months ago, was it's the devil's way of do. And I'm like, great way to explain it. Like, you guys got to use the terminology that resonates with you guys, right? So fear is the devil's greatest illusion. What does that mean to you guys? And here's a statement: what consumes your mind controls your life. And yeah, I got a lot of brilliant people here on the webinar, and you guys know this. But if you're not where you want to be in your business, this is still true, right? Even for me, if I want to continue growing my business, this is still true. What the hell am I thinking about, and why can't I get to where I want to be, right? Give me a high five if any of you guys resonate with that. So the body achieves what the mind believes, plain and simple, right? And then you're like, yeah, Tanya, that sounds great, but how the hell do I do it? Well, before you can stomp on fear and get what you want, you need to shatter those beliefs that are allowing fear to run the show, so you guys can take back your life, right? So let's get into it. Love and hate. Everybody is aware of the rice experiment if you watched my free webinar that I have posted on my homepage on my website. So you create your reality from the inside out. And I'm going to hop on back over here. Yeah. Yep. And I'm going to hop on back over here and talk to you guys a little bit about that. Now, the rice experiment, if there's some people who are going to be viewing this webinar who haven't heard of the rice experiment, I believe it was Dr. Emoto. Okay, so he's the gentleman who wrote a book about it. I believe he wrote a book about it, did the experiment, whatever. This is something that we do in the Empowering Kids program as well. I've done it in high schools. I haven't actually done it with my adult clients, but maybe I should. Maybe it's something that we could do in a workshop or something. So you basically take regular white cooked rice. You put it in, the image that I shared with you has 2 containers, but you can do it with 3 containers. 3 containers is really powerful. And you put the same rice in each container. And what we've done was you seal it and you label one stupid, ugly, whatever the worst descriptive words you could think of. And then the middle one is love. Okay. Even when you say those words, you can feel the difference in energy, right? And then the third one is just ignore. So what happens is that you go and you can put them beside each other, but every day you grab the hate jar and you call it every nasty thing that you could possibly call it. We've had the kids be like, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, whatever it is that they think is horrible. And then the middle one, it's like, I love you, you're beautiful, you're talented, you're creative, whatever the case is, and they just feed that energy into this one little jar. And then the third ignore jar, you just ignore it, ignore it. Now, what happens is at the end of a week, okay, of us doing this, and I'm going to periodically check my messages just in case. Okay. At the end of a week, you see that the love jar is still white. The hate jar is gross and moldy. And the ignore jar is black. It's worse than the moldy. It's worse than the hate jar. Now, this speaks to creating your reality from the inside out. If words have that much energy, guys, imagine what your thoughts are doing within. Like, what is that doing to you on the inside, right? That's a whole lot of toxicity happening there. A whole lot of abuse happening within, right? So my point being is that you guys create your reality from the inside out. What you guys think about, it just speaks to everything I just shared with you guys. What you guys think up here is what you guys are creating externally, period, right? Period. Easy peasy. But again, going back to that statement, yeah, okay, Tanya, but how the hell do you change it? Well, this is how you change it. You first change it. Step one is by knowing that. You guys got to know it and believe that. Step two, neuroplasticity. You're able to create new neural pathways, okay? New habits of thought. So, you know, up until infancy to like age 6 or 7, you don't have to teach a child nothing. You teach the child nothing. They download everything around them. That's how they learn, okay? So you can tell a child not to do something, not to behave a certain way, not to do all you want, but your child is going to learn more from your actions than they do from your words, okay? So what they're watching you do, okay, I like to call it modeling success for our little ones, modeling success for our kiddies. What you guys are doing is what your kids are going to do, plain and simple, regardless of what you tell them, right? I remember my daughter, she's 21 now. When she was growing up, I was like, syrup, blah, 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 syrup, blah, 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 blah. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? When you're fed new information, that's when you're able to put it into practice. So raising, being a teen mom, having a young child, I didn't know. I think I went to a workshop when Sierra was about 10 or 11. And I was like, that was the first time that I heard that. I won't even get into that. That's controversial as well. But basically, I wasn't communicating a lot with her, right? All she was seeing was my actions. And that's why it's so near and dear to me to work with adolescent parents, because there are so many crucial things that you're not taught in those parenting programs when you're a teen parent that forge your child's belief system when they're adults. You have no idea. So it doesn't matter what I was telling her, what she was downloading everything that I was doing. So it was really cool. It's really cool to see. And now I think I took her on a mother-daughter day on the weekend, and I said, oh, Sierra, you learned how to shop like me before I knew how to shop. I'm like, I have to reteach you how to shop, kind of thing. And it was just like, again, another long story, but what I'm saying is that that's where your first belief systems and values are born. So you got to ask yourself, okay, if I am scared out of my mind, if I am too scared, crippling scared, paralyzing scared to pursue what it is that I absolutely love, you got to go way back to childhood and go, okay, when was the very first time that I remember experiencing a fear around this area? Does that make sense to everyone? So let me see here. So for me, okay, so part of me still owns a part of the belief about public speaking. Okay, I'm in a kick-ass Toastmasters group, and it's like the best Toastmasters group. And I keep going because it scares me like nothing else. And part of my belief that I keep holding on to is that I'm not good enough, right? I'm just not good enough the way I am. And I could walk you right back from when I was younger. Like a lot of you already know this story, but my story was, you know, I was really, really young. My mom was sick. She couldn't take care of us. I had to go to foster care. Feelings of not being good enough. I didn't understand. I just felt not good enough, not wanted, right? And then moved around, whatever the case was, not feeling good enough, not feeling good enough. My father had to go away. Again, somebody else, a loved one who's leaving. So not feeling good enough, not feeling good enough. So that was just something that was ingrained in my brain, and I still hold on to that a little bit. However, I acknowledge that. I got that. I understand that. And whenever I have a speaking engagement, and these online webinars are considered speaking engagements, I acknowledge it. All right, fine. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Doing these webinars is the best way that I am able to market what it is that I do in my programs that I have. So hell yeah, I'm going to do it. Public speaking, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. Do I die a little bit each time out of fear and maybe like can't breathe for a while? Yeah. Yeah, I do. My heart starts racing. I can't breathe. I'm like, I kind of like have little anxiety attacks. I do it anyway. Okay, because the feedback and the lives that are freaking changing by me coming out and actually doing this is like more important than the fear that I experience. Plain and simple. So that's my little spiel, okay? And in reference to the toxicity that we create in our bodies through the patterns of thought that we have, neuroplasticity. So the patterns of thought that you have, many of them stem from childhood, okay? And so it wasn't overnight that you began to think a thought. If you feel not good enough, if you can't look in a mirror and say, I'm good enough, if you can't look in a mirror and recognize what it is that's beautiful about you, and you've never uttered a word that you love about yourself, I mean, that's gonna be challenging, right? But it's doable. It's freaking doable. So that's one of the main things that we do in our Empowering Kids program. But one of the kick butt things that happen in the Invest in Yourself program is actually getting my clients to tap into what it is that they're amazing at, and then putting it into action and watching the growth and belief happen in the program is amazing. So neuroplasticity is basically a pattern of thought. Your neural pathways, right? You grow new thought patterns. You grow new thought patterns. You grow new neural pathways. What happens to the old thought patterns, to the old pathways that, you know, the old way of thinking that you no longer want to think anymore? They die off. They die off. They die off. These new thought patterns get stronger and stronger and stronger, and the old ones get weaker and weaker and weaker, okay? And that's how you begin to dominate. So I'm going to flip back over and continue. Now, again, I got a lot of brilliant people here on the webinar and people that watch the replays. I get you know this stuff. I totally do. But I'm going to echo what I already said. If you're not where you are in your business, there's still some level of this happening. And that's what I invite you guys to participate in today. So if the words that you guys spoke appeared on your skin, would you still be beautiful? I mean, I love what this quote is saying. Basically, what this quote is saying is that if the thoughts that you think appeared on your skin and everybody could see what it is that you thought about the world, about you, about your life, what would other people think? Right? I'm just going to check. Oh, okay. So when you guys are afraid, you guys got to ask yourself this question. What's the worst thing that could happen? What is the worst thing that could happen? And clearly my ringer's not off. What's the worst thing that can happen? Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. Okay. So when I'm working with my clients, I always ask them, what's the worst thing that can happen? And this is a process that I learned from my business coach. What's the worst thing that can happen? If they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's you know, I don't want to put myself out there on social media. I don't want to let my family and friends know what it is that I'm passionate about doing. And then I'll say, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And they'll say, well, something like, well, they'll judge me. You know, what if they have things, what if they talk about me? What if they judge me? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then what? And then what'll happen? Well, I won't feel good enough, or whatever the case is. And then you kind of just keep walking back. You can walk yourself back. This is a process that I share with my clients and that you're able to do on anything that you're fearful of doing. Anything that you're experiencing block in. And yeah, so this is something that's really, really powerful, is just acknowledging what's the worst that can happen. And once you bring it up and acknowledge the worst thing that could happen, it's like, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, I'll lose my entire life savings. I'll lose my entire freaking life savings. Yep. And then what? And once you're faced to look at exactly the worst thing that could happen, what did Tony Robbins say this morning? Tony Robbins said, take your biggest fears and look it straight in the eye and basically ask, what's the worst freaking thing that can happen? I'll go bankrupt. And then he goes on to walk you through, okay, what's worse than that? Losing an arm. Okay. So you see how you're like minimizing your previous biggest fear? And then what's the worst that can happen? Maybe you're paralyzed. Maybe your loved one passes away, or whatever the case is. Yeah, man, that's the worst thing that can happen. So I like the way he shared that. But speaking directly to this, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's like, once you face it, once you look at it, once you see it, it's almost like you've faced it and it's not that scary anymore. Because ultimately, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that could happen is living your entire life not doing what it is that you want to do, right? I think it's like every webinar this comes up, but like the true definition of success is doing what you want to do because you want to do it. And it's so cool. So you always ask yourself this, when you guys are afraid, crippling, like, and it's just crippling you, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? And really face that. And stop doubting yourself. You got to work hard to make it happen. Here's a quote from last week's webinar, and we talked about it at the beginning. It was, what most people fear when putting a video out there on social media and how to move past those blocks, right? That was like something that we went into. And I'll share with you right now that the worst thing that people fear when posting anything on social media is what your family and friends are going to think, right? Who's going to echo me here? Who's going to agree with me here? I see you all on the line, but nobody's, and sometimes you're not in a place where you can actually use the chat box. If you guys can't use the chat box, shoot me a message on Facebook, because I always keep my Facebook open in case the chat box doesn't work. And there's been a few times where the chat box didn't work. Yeah, so the biggest fear that my clients have faced is putting yourself out there on social media because what your family and friends are going to think, period. Just talking about fear with others diminishes its power. Because you're facing it, right? Yeah, absolutely, Mark. So Here, I'll tell you a little story. When I first started posting my webinars, videos, quotes, beliefs, business on social media, not only did the closest people to me believing, you know, family and friends, which they are, they're my closest people, they they were the first ones to question it and poke fun at it and just, you know, maybe not be as supportive, or be extremely silent and pretend like you're not even, like they don't notice anything. Okay, I've had a few close people make some I guess judgmental comments on my posts, and luckily I had this knowledge of gotta love the naysayers because that means you're being seen. That means you're being heard, and it's totally okay. I believe it's something that if you're going to be the face of your business, if you are your product, you got to be out there. You got to be the one that people resonate with. You have to create that know, like, and trust factor with your potential clients. There's many people who connect with me, sign up for the program, who have never spoken to me before, but they felt like they knew me through my videos, through my webinars, and through all of the content that I give out on social media. So that's what matters. Last week we had Sherry Selly on, and she said, your friends and family or whoever you're afraid of that you think will judge you, they're not the ones paying the bills, you know? And that's absolutely right. And they're not your ideal, oh no, she said, they're not your ideal clients. And that's absolutely right. So I invite you guys all to really take a look at that, okay? When you're experiencing fear, okay, and because nobody's giving me any examples of your own specific fears that you face in your business, I'm just going to use what comes off the top of my head. And for me and the clients that I work with, it's fear of being visible, fear of being visible, fear of being vulnerable and visible, okay? That's their biggest fear that they experience in life right now. And when you talk about relationship, it's fear of being alone, right? Fear of making a mistake. What the hell? When you talk about your kids, it's like fear of making a mistake as a parent. Like, am I making a mistake? Hell, I've experienced so many fears when it came to homeschooling. It's like, am I making a mistake? Am I taking certain experiences that may serve this child and owning it and whatever else? And it's like, there's fears all over the place. But the difference is you got to read your gut, and you got to follow your gut. You got to follow your intuition. You got to follow your inner compass, however, whatever resonates with you. Follow your inner compass. And if it scares the shit out of you, it's more than likely what you need to be doing. I'm going to read a passage from The War of Art. Resistance and fear. Are you paralyzed with fear? That is a good sign. Okay. Fear is good. Like self-doubt, fear is an indicator. Fear tells us what we have to do. Okay. A lot of people are like, that's too scary. That is too much. That is too far out of my comfort zone. Not happening. The more fearful of it, you guys, the more of an indication it is that you guys need to do it. Okay. So remember one rule of thumb. The more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it. Basically, what he goes on to say is that the singers who say, are you sure I'm good enough? Are you sure I'm good enough? After everybody in the room says that you are good enough, those are the singers who are good enough. Okay? For the coach that says, are you sure I'm good enough? Are you sure I'm good enough? Are you sure I'm serving enough people? Am I doing it the right way? And who constantly have that kind of little bit of self-doubt, but like fear is crippling them, and you can see the progress happening. Hell yeah, that is what you're meant to do, right? Because you're afraid of it. Because you're afraid of it. That's why it's what you're meant to do. I'm just trying to see if, okay, so if you're paralyzed with fear, it's a good sign. It shows you what you have to do. Okay, so write that down. If you don't have this book already, get the book. You need the book, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're self-employed. You need to get the book. So I'm just going to flip back on over here and finish off my presentation. It always has to do with a form of not good enough. Okay, not feeling good enough, not being good enough, not believing that you're good enough, and so on and so forth. So if you find that you're crippling yourself with fear, it's always a form of not feeling good enough. So the best way out is always through fear. I believe fear isn't really something to overcome, because there's always going to be fear. Like, look what I just read you out of this book. Fear is your indicator, right? Fear is an indication, period. If you're experiencing fear around something, it's your indication. So definitely walk into it. I had somebody write a blog a couple of years ago, and it was called Let Fear Be Your Flashlight. So loved this quote when I saw it. First, I dream my painting, then I paint my dream. How cool is that? I don't know. A lot of you guys probably heard this quote before. It's the first time I saw it today. I thought it was beautiful. A large part of creativity is making mistakes and then noticing what is good about them. Hell, I make mistakes all the time. I'll be the first one to tell you that. Okay? I try to make mistakes. I follow that quote that Tony Robbins has. Throw yourself into failure. It's the quickest way to success. Period. Fail, fail, fail. Risk being very, very misunderstood. Hell yes, I've been there, done that too. Okay? You might be very misunderstood. If you got a coaching business in a specific niche, if you're a healer, a public speaker, and you have a very specific audience that you speak directly to, the people who are not your specific ideal client or audience, you're going to be very misunderstood. But that's okay. That is okay. You're honoring you, and that's what matters. So be open, okay? This is amazing. Be open to it being way better than you imagined. This is what I love about the universe, is that you can hold a vision. Actually, I'm going to share with you guys a universal law that I want a lot of people to. I'm going to share with you guys a universal law. First, I'm going to read Mark's comments. Fear of not reaching a goal, so not setting goals. I don't believe I can't achieve. You're just limiting your potential. How do we measure not good enough? How do we measure not good enough? Great question. First, your goals. So what you're saying to me, and just give me a yes or no, Mark, what you're saying is that you find that you're not setting goals because you don't want to experience not achieving the goals? And how do we measure not good enough? Can you be more specific? Great questions. Thanks for engaging. 90% of success is showing up, y'all. If you guys got any questions, put them in. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome that you acknowledge that. So what's your first step? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if you go ahead and you set a goal such as, I want to make $10,000 in 90 days will be my first month that I will make $10,000 in my business. If you write that goal down and you don't achieve that goal, what's the worst thing that can happen? Right? If you set that goal, what's the worst thing that can happen? So basically, I'll wait for your answer, but I'll also follow it up with goal setting, okay? I had a client years ago when I first started coaching. She hated the word goal. She could not work with the word goal, so we changed goal to vision, okay? If goal is a scary word and it just is not going to work with you, I invite you to find something, a word that represents it, that resonates with you. So if it's vision, fine. But for your vision or goal, in order to increase the rate of it happening by like 80%, is to write it down and set a date to it. Write it down, set a date to it, and tell somebody about it, because you're going to hold yourself accountable. By telling people about it, you're holding yourself accountable, okay? That's a big thing. Okay, I'll get to that. And so that's a big thing. And when you write it down, you don't just write your goal down. You have to set action steps, okay? You have to take action. I was listening to Belford. Oh, who was that? Belford, Wolf of Wall Street this morning. And he said, set a goal. He calls the secret bullshit. I use the secret in my program because it explains the law of attraction amazing, okay? And people really get that. But then I invite people to, okay, but this universal law, this universal law. You need to know these, and you need to harness in and hone in on those and have that awareness before you can tap into the law of attraction, right? And so what he was saying this morning was, you could sit there and freaking dream about something and want something to happen all you want, but the action is where it's going to happen. So if you are not taking action, if you write these action steps and attach dates to the action steps to your big vision or goal, and you're not making that happen, then you got to take a deeper look and go, how come I'm not doing this? There's something really, really limiting you that's subconscious. The feelings are far more difficult than the consequence. Okay. What does not good enough feel like? I think we tend to avoid feelings more than avoiding consequences. Yeah, good call, for sure. So not feeling good enough, how can I put I want to give you an example. So not feeling good enough, wanting something really bad, but for some unforeseen reason, you're just not doing it for some reason, right? You might think thoughts like, why would anybody want to listen to me? What makes me think that I can do that? And so on and so forth. You'll have repetitive thoughts such as those, and you'll just feel heavy. You'll feel heavy, right? And what would the consequences be of not feeling good enough, right? I think that we tend to avoid feelings than avoiding consequences. Oh gosh. Yes, you're absolutely right, Mark. So anything that you're feeling or experiencing will push down. We'll suppress that. We don't want to feel it anymore. So we think that the proper way to deal with those emotions and feelings are to push it down. And the fastest way to success, you guys, is bringing them up, looking at them. Okay. I walk some of my clients through that process of, right, the what's the worst thing that can happen. And sometimes you get to the point of, I'm just not good enough. Okay. The worst thing that can happen is that people are going to judge me. I'm going to feel like shit. That is my dryer. I'm going to feel like shit. It's going to hold me back. And it's just the fear of failure, right? If you change your view and belief system on the fear of failure, it's like you want to fail as many freaking times as you can, because that's going to create strength, okay, and experience, and that's going to get you closer to where you want to be. Okay, failure is going to get you closer to where you want to be. So ultimately, you don't feel good enough because you don't go after what you guys want because you're afraid of failure. Think about it. Brian Tracy wrote this quote for a reason. If you could do anything and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? And that's basically written in a way to open up people's minds to, well, if I couldn't fail, this is what I do. But if you just ask somebody, if you could do anything, what would it be? They're just not as open, right? So you got it. The hardest part is digging those feelings up, looking at them, and they're looking at you smiling, whatever the case is, this fear, this self-doubt, this fear of failure, this fear of not being good enough on any level. You look it in the face and you're like, mwah, thank you for everything you've taught me, but I don't need you no more. I'm done and I'm ready. And then you get rid of those feelings outside the window. Okay, I was taught through energy transformation, and you just envision it going into the earth, being transformed into love and light, and then you're freeing up all of this space to bring in what it is that you guys want to experience, right? Everybody feels feelings of not being good enough. If you're not where you want to be, or taking the steps, or even reaching the goals, or being able to work on the goals that you want to experience in your life, then there's feelings of not being good enough and fear to go out and get it. There's something subconscious blocking you, okay? And then your next step is, okay, I get that something's blocking me. I want it that bad, so I'm going to find out how to bring up these subconscious limiting beliefs and make it happen. And if you guys want to do it, definitely ask yourself over and over again, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? What am I scared of? What am I scared of? What's really going on here? What's really going on here? Until you get deeper and deeper and deeper. Does that make sense, Mark? So first you got to set your goals, okay? Properly, meaning attach a date to it. Get some possible resources for support and assistance, okay? Get people to help you that you can reach to, and set mini action steps and attach dates to those mini action steps, okay? But you got to take action. Action is key. And if you Carrie, thanks, Carrie. And if you, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I guess I'm going to move on because I totally lost my train of thought there. So give me some feedback, Mark. Was that an okay response? Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'm just rereading that again and finding like more that I want to talk about. The feelings are far more difficult than the consequence. Yeah. Nobody wants to feel like shit. Nobody wants to feel like shit. But you got to ask yourself, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want it? How important is it to you? How is it to you? Yeah. Thanks, Carrie. Just kidding. So how important is it to you, and how badly do you want it? Okay. And if those feelings are more difficult than the consequence of not having what it is that you want, you guys got to keep asking yourselves the question in a roundabout way, no matter how long it takes, until you tap into that. Or go, I'm a coach. I'm certified twice. I am ICF accredited. I have my mentor. Like I've been being certified for the last 4 years, or previous for about 4 years in length. And I still see my own coach, because when you're in it, you can't tap into those things as well as you can when you can't tap into those things as well as you could if somebody else were walking you, because you really got to be vulnerable, right? You got to find that safe place. I have one session left with a grief and recovery coach, and it's like, I know this stuff, but it's different when you have somebody help you through it. So I'm just going to go back over here and see what I have left in my training. Be open to it being way better than you imagined, like I said. Okay, so here's what happens when you move past those emotions that are triggered by fear, and you say yes. That's why I always say yes and worry about it later. Say yes and worry about it later. Yes, those feelings are freaking cripple you if you focus on the feelings, right? You got to focus on what it is that you want. So you say yes, you show up. 90% of success is just showing up. It's not making a plan of action. It's not doing anything. It's just like, I'm going to put my runners on. I'm going to go for a walk. I did not make a plan, but then you feel better. Then you feel better. I'm going to come to this webinar. I don't know what the hell to expect. All I know is that this is what I want. You showed up. You got knowledge and information that maybe once you've never heard of. But when you show up, this is the shit that can happen. This is one of my clients, Sherry Selly from Tribe Meditation, creator of Tribe Meditation. Now she has monthly sold out events, weekly sold out meditation classes. And now she's got Sherry Selly, I think within like 3 days, she had 40,000 views on her book. Like, it's amazing. But that's setting a goal, setting a standard, and being like, hey, this is what I'm going to do to make it happen. This is what I'm going to do to make it happen. And if you do it and ignore those feelings, you're going to run into a freaking brick wall. Okay, so whenever you're experiencing those emotions, put time aside, let that shit come up. Thank you for whatever you're there to teach me, but I don't need you anymore. Make space for the new. Okay, this is another one of my clients, Jen. She teaches kids yoga. She quit her corporate job just over 6 months ago, and now she's got a couple of businesses. She's in direct sales. She teaches kids yoga. She does mother-daughter yoga classes. She teaches adult yoga as well. But she's doing what she loves to do and being closer with her kids. She's a single mom too, you guys. She's making it. She's doing it. Couple of my clients. I've made twice my investment back in 60 days. That happens. I've been sitting on my About page for the last couple of years, and she's having so much fun. I've had more out of 6 sessions with Tanya than 6 months of personal coaching. I'm still buzzing. Morgan, I mean, I'll celebrate the crap out of her. She just signed up for a longer program. She re-signed with me, and she within 60 days had everything created, and now we're working on sales funnels, on marketing, and all that good stuff. And another one of my clients closed one of her businesses 3 months before her action plan, before her goal was set, through working with me. So those are huge celebrations for my clients. And this is my program. Invest in Yourself program. Okay, here's the thing. This is pretty much what we're talking about today. My program is based out of, designed around 3 things. You need to find out where you are in life, where you want to be, and how to get there. So when you find out where you are in life, you're no longer choosing to suppress all those emotions and feelings. You're like, okay, bring it up. Let's look at it. Let's face it. Really, where am I in my relationship and love life? Really, where am I in my family life? Really, where am I in my health and fitness, in my career, in my spirituality, all these beautiful areas of life? Really, where am I? And then once you pull all those feelings up, all of that honesty and vulnerability up, you look at it and go, okay, now where do I want to be? And that's where you set the goals. That's where you set the action steps. And then how the hell am I going to get there? Right? And then that's where all the business stuff comes in and all the other inner work. So there's now 10 amazing modules in my program. The 10th is coaching. I teach you guys all the ins and outs about coaching and everything that I know about coaching, plus bonuses. And how to apply for this program is you go to investinyourselfcourse.com, click on or hover over the home button, click on apply, and book a free 60-minute session with me. And then, you tell me what you want to experience. I give you feedback, whatever the case is. And if we resonate, then we work together. But energy is so important that we really have to resonate with each other. Again, investinyourselfcourse.com. So I'm going to flip back over here. And, okay, it is 12:29. I've been talking a lot. My throat is sore. I'm feeling under the weather today. Can you guys guess? Could you guys tell? I was going to tell you at the beginning, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell them because then I'm setting you up for what to expect through the webinar, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna, or maybe I did. I don't know. Whatever. I didn't mean to anyway. That's my dryer again. Who's going to get the War of Art? The War of Art. Thank you, Tanya. Great job. Thank you, Beth. What shall I ask you? Maybe I'll ask you, okay, I will send a free book to the person who is going to put it out there, who is going to cut right through fear and share with me, what is your fear? The first person who can write down and tell me what your biggest fear right now in your life or business, I'll give you that because it's a little bit easier, In your life or business, what is your biggest fear / obstacle happening for you right now? And I'm going to celebrate and reward those for being vulnerable and facing their fear. Okay? And I'm going to open my up here, yeah, because my throat is sore. Share with me that. And Mark, thank you for all of your feedback. I hope that I was able to provide a lot of useful information for you. This is always the awkward part where I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask a question and then I'm going to wait, because there's like a 15 or 20-second delay after you guys even send in your feedback. I'm just going to wait another minute. It's 12:31. I'm going to take one more sip. So if you guys have been sitting on the fence for this program, wanting to build your business, create that money mindset shift, because it really is all about, remember those belief systems, and you might not have the belief that you're good enough to generate what it is that you want, or your product or your business isn't good enough to generate the money that you want. That's a big focus of ours in the program, is getting you to the point of believing, hell yeah, you are. Without another certification, you're good enough. Mark says, yes, great session and great positive energy. Very timely for me. Good. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I'm going to hold off. You know, there's sometimes when I ask people to be vulnerable, they're not exactly vulnerable on the chat box. However, you guys can respond to this email. It'll go straight to my Gmail, and still share with me. If you guys want to share with me privately, do it, because that's still sharing and that's still being vulnerable. So I'm going to sign off, and whoever sends me their very first vulnerable message, I'm going to send that book to your door. So I love you all. I celebrate you guys for being here live or watching the replay. And I'm going to wish you guys an amazing weekend. And next week, we're going to have another amazing webinar training. So if you guys have anything specifically that you want coaching on, advice on, maybe, you know, we've done one on VIP days, exactly how to structure your VIP days. Maybe you want to find out about retreats, how to create retreats in your business, how to create an online mastermind. We've done that before. So I am here at your service, and this is my way of giving back to you guys. It's a free webinar training. I love you all. Have an amazing weekend. Mwah! Bye.